Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, people. What is happening? I have no idea what I'm talking about today, so I'm going to have to lean on you people for ideas. So, what do you guys think I should be talking about today? You got any questions, concerns, comments, anything like that? What do you guys want to hear? What do you guys want me to talk about today? Let's see. So, of course, this is a live show, so I can't talk about, I can't leave just like dead air. So I'll start talking about something, but hoping that, I'll either lock on to something and go off or possibly it's going to be more like a Q&A. Where I'm just kind of fielding questions. Okay, so here it starts. It's starting to come in. I just keep failing in relationships. Okay, we got failing in relationships so far. So you're definitely not failing. So give me some more. It's got to be the perception, because you must be perceiving that you're failing. So either you're seeing it wrong or, well, you're definitely seeing it wrong, because failing is like one thing I like the concept of to describe what just came through is running. Like running towards something. So momentum plays a part. So if we're running towards something, like picture yourself running down a path, right? And then you trip and you fall. Where do you land? You land closer to the thing, right? Why? Because you're going towards something. So even if you trip and fall, your momentum actually brings you closer. So sometimes that's what failing is like. We go, we have attachments to a particular outcome that we're attached to. So when we're going towards that and then we trip and fall, we go, oh no, I failed. And it's like, well, no, you're still closer to it. You may have found something that doesn't work. There's times in our lives where we have to like finding out what doesn't work is sometimes just as important as finding out what does work. So like after I woke up, I had no idea what I was going to do or what I was capable of doing. I had no idea. So like, I just was like, okay, I've been an alcoholic maniac for 20 years. I have a kid. I need to be responsible. I need to get a job. And I need to make, I would like to make a decent amount of money, not scrape, and kind of stabilize my structures. So I figured sales made sense because I didn't have an education. So I was like, oh, I'll get a job in sales. And so I ended up getting a job selling cell phones. And it was good. For a while I made a decent amount of money to stabilize, get an apartment, find a place to live, get an apartment, pay some bills off, and and it was good. It wasn't what I wanted to do with my life, but it served a purpose. And then I left that and I still didn't know what I wanted to do. There was, what was there? 3, 6, 8 years, maybe, I think. Excuse me. It was like 8 years, maybe even 9, that after I woke up spiritually, before I started my business, so I tried opening a couple businesses. I tried buying a business. When I finally opened up my business, I didn't know if I should be a life coach, or I was leaning towards life coach, but I didn't know about timing and everything. So I was like, well, like what if I stabilize my income, and then like doing something that I'm kind of interested in, and then but making sure that I leave space to pursue life coaching. And I was like, okay, well, I might do that, especially since I have a kid, or I'll just try to be a life coach. And I didn't know which direction to go to. So what I did is I started putting a little bit of energy towards both. So I started looking into becoming a life coach, and I started looking into buying a gym. That was my other, I was a personal trainer for like 15 years. So I knew the industry pretty well. And I figured if I was like the owner, then like I could, I'd be stuck in a gym a lot. So I could use my downtime to like start my life coaching business, like train for it, maybe coach people, whatever. So I was like, okay, one of these two. And then all of a sudden it looked like I was going to buy the gym. I found this gym in my hometown that was for sale. I started talking with the owner. My friend that knew all about business had an idea of how I could purchase it without any money down. So he was going to do me a favor and come in and negotiate the terms for me and all this stuff. And so I was like, oh my God, it looks like I'm going to buy a gym, So then it was, and my plan was like, I'm going to start a business by the end of the year, because I was collecting unemployment and working part-time, reporting my part-time work. So it made my unemployment insurance last longer. So instead of like 6 months, I was on it for like a year, because I was reporting my income like you're supposed to, which a lot of people don't do. But it elongated it. So I knew I had to make a move by the end of the year. So I told this guy, I says, hey, listen, you're dragging your feet on this paperwork. For me to get this done, I need to have this paperwork by, whatever date it was. Let's say October 1st. And, I said, so if you want this deal to go through, I need this information by October 1st. Otherwise, I'm going to go do something else, because I'm starting a business by the end of the year. So, and then I just took my hands off of it. It was like, if this is not right for me, please shut the door on it. This is something that's a really wonderful thing that we need to, I think, incorporate in some of our situations. We want to say, oh, I want to trust the universe. I want to hand things over, but I don't know how to do it. I want to trust God, but I don't know how to do it. Backdoor yourself. Like if I'm about to do something and I make a decision, I tell the universe or God, and I go, listen, from my limited perspective, this looks like the right move. So I'm letting you know right now that this is my intention. I'm going to do this. Unless this is not the best thing for me. If this is not right for me, please shut the door on it. And I do that. I've done that with things regularly throughout my life. And it's wonderful, because I'm saying, I trust you. And if this isn't right for me, shut the door on it. So when something doesn't work out, I see it as the universe coming in and shutting the door on something that wasn't good for me in the first place. So that's what happened. The gym, the door shut on the gym. So I went and I got my life coaching certification, which I had already researched, because I was putting energy in both directions. When the gym started taking off, I paused on the life coaching, but it was still oscillating there. And then I followed it, and then it was like, oh, that closed off. So I was ready to go with the life coaching. So that's what I did. And I finished the certification and, and started my business, I guess. Technically, I don't even know if I had a client, but technically I started my business by the end of the year. or at the first of the year or something, you know? So, so this is how we have to do things. And like, let's see. Yeah. If you can give me some more information, please do. Um, keep failing. It's, like you, you can't fail at being you. Like it's literally impossible. You're the only one that can be you. You're the only one that can do what you're supposed to do. So like you're not failing. This is why I said right off the bat, well, you're looking at it wrong. Your perspective is wrong because you can't fail. You could possibly be blocked, which even that is debatable. But yeah, it's you're not failing. It's just something isn't working the way you think it's supposed to work, or you're being directed into a direction where you don't want to go. So here's another way to look at it. Like, yeah. So I'll go right to basically the line of it. So there's this question that people ask. They've been asking for many years. And the question is, if money was not an issue, what would you do? What would you do for a living if money wasn't an option? And it's a wonderful question because it gets all the social conditioning out of our way and the fears out of our way and just aligns us. Well, what would you do joyfully? Like what would you enjoy doing? Because if money wasn't an issue, why would you do something that you don't like? That kind of doesn't make sense. So that's a wonderful question. And you should ask yourself that. But I also asked myself, somebody else asked me this question kind of a different way. I view it as a very similar question. And the question was, what would you do if you knew you'd fail? And I heard that question and I went, oh, I'd be a life coach. Like, and I don't know if I had started my business yet. But I remember I was like I, like my business definitely wasn't established because I was like, I'm kind of doing that now. Like I'm kind of technically I'm kind of a life coach and well, I guess I am a life coach technically. But what does that mean? Like, I went online and did some certification course, like whatever, anybody can do that. Doesn't mean that you can be a good life coach. And, most things are like that. When I got my personal training certification, that doesn't mean that I was a good personal trainer. Like it's just, just because you have a certification in something doesn't mean that you're good at it or you should be doing it. Right. So technically I was a life coach, but I wasn't supporting myself at it. I don't even know if I was doing it. I might not even have started doing it, but regardless, whether it was before I started or after I started, I wasn't supporting myself. So I was like, technically I'm kind of what the outside world would view as a failure is my life. I'm failing. Like I can't support myself in a career that I would like to support myself. So I guess I'm failing, That's how other people would phrase that. See, this is what I mean by viewing it wrong. Like I had to figure out how I was a failure because I didn't feel like one, but technically I was trying to answer this question. I was like, okay, well, I guess technically I'm failing, but I'm still doing it. So I would be a life coach. If I knew that I was going to fail at something, what would you do anyway? I would be a life coach. Because before I became a life coach, I was life coaching people in recovery. I wasn't just sponsoring them. Sponsoring sometimes can be very similar to life coaching. Sometimes not. But the way I did it, I was really teaching people how to live, and I was teaching spirituality through my sponsoring and through the big book and stuff. So like, I was life coaching technically before I was getting paid for it, before it was a career. So that's what most people would consider failing. Like you know, but I was doing it anyway. So we have to pay attention to what brings us joy. And if something isn't working out, that just means that we're either looking at it wrong or we're trying to jam a square peg into a round hole. Like another thing on this line of thinking was I did this. I had this moment in my life. I've had many of these, I guess, but I had this period in my life where I went through this big transition. And it was in the summertime in Rhode Island. And I remember it was August. And I went down to, I think it might have been Misquamicut Beach or something. And they had this long jetty that went way out into the ocean. And I walked out there and I sat out there and I meditated for a while. And I just really was ruminating and anchoring in to this newfound shift that I had just been going through. And I just wanted to do something different and monumental because it was a big shift in outlooks and things that were going on in my life at the time. And I think I was doing personal training at the time, or I was exercising quite a bit. So I was in good shape, and I would run some 5Ks every once in a while. And I started running. And I was so once I got done meditating, I was running on these rocks back. And I just started running for no apparent reason. And I noticed I kept trying to only put my feet on the big rocks. I wasn't trying to use any of the little ones. And I heard this voice from inside go, slow down, you're missing it. So I'm like, and I was really feeling connected, so I'm like, missing what? Like, and it was like, again, so I slowed down and it was like, slow down, you're missing it. Like, why are you running? I don't know. I just felt like running, I guess. It's like you're not in a rush. You're missing the journey. Slow down. And this was after my meditation and after my me taking time to like implement and feel. I'm not getting the right word for some reason. Like to integrate this shift I was going through. And so there was a bunch of stuff that I got clarity on and integrated, but then this was a new little piece. And it was like, yeah, you're missing it. Slow down. You're missing it. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to slow down and be more conscious. And then so I'm slowing down. Now I'm walking and I start seeing what I'm doing. And that was when I really got conscious about me trying to not step on the little rocks. I would always try to make it from one big one to another big one. And I realized that that's I started seeing my life like, Glenn, that's kind of how you act. You try to go from one big thing to another big thing to another big thing. Like, slow down and understand that the little rocks that you're trying so hard to avoid are important too. So I was walking on all these rocks and I would sometimes you couldn't make it from a big one to another big one. You had to step on one or a few small rocks to get to another big one. It was just too big of a leap. I couldn't make it. And I'm seeing all this stuff play out with the rocks and in my head and in my heart. And I'm understanding it all at once. And I'm like, whoa, so it was a cool moment. But what I'm talking about here, as far as the failing is, sometimes we have to understand there are stepping stones to get us to other places. So it's not all about the big rocks. Like, everybody wants to be in their favorite job. Well, I just want to be in my favorite job because we keep putting off happiness. Like, once I find my purpose, then I'll be happy. No, you won't. You won't. Once I get my dream job, then I'll be happy. No, you won't. Once I'm in a loving relationship, then I'll be happy. No, you won't, because happiness comes from within. Happiness doesn't come from external circumstances. Oh yeah, but it's easier to be happy if everything's figured out. Well, of course. Of course it's easier to be happy. Because, like, I mean, if somebody walks up and gives you an ice cream and you like ice cream, well, yeah, you're going to be happy. Who gives a crap? That's not like you have no control over that. That's not like that doesn't last. So the only way for us to be in control of our happiness is to understand that it's already within us. It comes from within. That's how we can be in control of it. People think, I'll use the life coaching for this example, because people think like, oh, Glenn found his purpose, and he lives in a simple life in a house up in the mountains of the Dominican Republic. And oh my God, it must be awesome. It must be just like, I must just be in bliss all the time because I have everything that I want. That's not it. Like, it's about my state of mind. It's about the way I'm viewing the world. That's where my happiness comes from. There have been times when I've been up on this mountain, in this house, in this peaceful, beautiful atmosphere, with this career, doing my purpose, and I'm sitting there looking at my life going, oh my God, why do I feel so empty? Why? Because I disconnected from my own happiness. So I needed to reconnect to it. It has nothing to do with your external circumstances. You can have everything you want and you can still be miserable. Guaranteed. This is why we have to anchor into our happiness internally. Then we have control over when we feel it, when we don't. So you can't put your happiness off to another time until something external gets worked out. So sometimes these, so it's not about getting the dream job. It's about doing what you enjoy and leaning into it. Well, I can't. Yeah, you can. You can. I mean, if you hate your job, then do what you enjoy in your evenings or in your spare time. Create a little business on the side, do it for 4 hours on the weekend. If you enjoy it, you'll be able to find the time. It'll be like enjoyment time. It won't be another thing to fit into your schedule, and if you can't find a place to fit in any joy in your schedule, then you have some revamping to do. We have to stop feeling like a victim of life and take control over our life and change the pieces, so we can lean in the direction of, how many people I've like coached about starting their own business that were stuck, and they're like, I can't start my own business. There's no way. I got kids, I got this, I got that. And then after a little while, they just did what they were capable of in that little moment. They just did that little piece. And then all of a sudden it turned into something else. And they did that little piece and it turned into something else. Next thing you know, they're doing what they love. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this worked. It's like, yeah, that's how it works. So sometimes when you're on a small rock, know that it could be a stepping stone to something else. Don't get frustrated. It's, if you love your life and your happiness is coming from within and you're leaning into it, then, more stuff, you'll find more stuff to enjoy. So don't, this is the other thing. So if we will lie to ourselves, like you read about, man, it's, I've done it myself. We sit there and we start trying to we say, oh, I'm trying to follow my joy. I'm trying to follow my joy, when we're actually sabotaging ourselves and we're not doing it. And we're like, why are you not supporting me? And we're just BSing ourselves, and we're attempting to BS energy. We're attempting to BS the universe, which we cannot, So like when we're leaning in the direction of something, like there, everything is run by law. Okay. It's law. So the way we are supported in what we're doing. So if something doesn't work out, that just means that it's a stepping stone to something else. Like we cannot be punished. So here's I'll use I usually use like job scenarios to explain this. So if you have two job possibilities, right? And one is basically just money based and one is joy based, and you go, oh, I think I'd really enjoy doing this. So maybe I should do that. And then the other side says, oh, this is much more money or more money. And, your ease of life is going to be better if you do that, so you should go after the money. And you go, yeah, screw joy. I'm going after the money. That is bad intent. Like the reason you're making decisions is based out of lack, fear. It's a fear energy. You're like, oh, why would you take a job for money if you don't enjoy doing it, right? Especially when you had the opportunity to take one for joy. The only reason you would do that, because one is love, following your joy is based in love. Following money only, not money only is lack. You're fearful. You're like, oh, I have to go where the money is, not where my joy is, because what if I don't have enough money? It's a lack mentality. It's a fear mentality. So if we make our decisions out of fear, we will pay a consequence. Why? Because we're not supposed to be living in fear. The universe or God or whatever you believe in loves you and or wants your expansion. If you don't believe in God, the universe just wants you to expand. It's an intelligent universe. God is an intelligent being. Whatever you believe in created an intelligent system. The universe consistently expands. Why? Because it wants to, and it's freaking intelligent. That's why. So it created an intelligent system to create its own expansion, right? Or God loves you, so he wants you to be happy. Whatever mentality makes you feel good, it doesn't matter. The law is law. And the law is that if you are expanding, doing what the universe wants you to do, expanding, or doing what a loving God wants you to do, expanding, becoming more of yourself, you're going to feel pleasurable feelings inside. When you do the right thing, the thing that benefits you, you feel good things. When you do things that don't benefit you, you feel bad things. That's the guidance system. And it's intelligent and it makes sense. So if you make decisions out of fear, that is, you don't expand, you become less of yourself instead of more of yourself. The universe doesn't expand. You're not moving towards self-love. So God's not real too psyched with your behavior. So there has to be a natural consequence, not a punishment, just a natural consequence to say, hey, you don't want to keep making decisions based in fear, because it's not good. It's not good for you. It's not good for us. It's not good for anything. So things don't work out when you're functioning from fear. When you function from love, things always work out. Why? Because that's the system. It can't give you negative feedback for following your joy. Then there wouldn't be an intelligent system in place. How would you know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do if one didn't play out well and bring you joy, momentary joy? True happiness comes from within. Don't get confused. And when you do something that lessens you, you don't experience good things and it doesn't work out well. So sometimes in an explanation of this, like I'll give you, one more kind of step so you can see how this plays out. The variable here, right, is if you're trying to function from love, but you're unconsciously functioning from fear, right? So what happens in that, if you're trying to function from love, then the universe can't punish you. Now, it can make something not work out well. Why? Because it can't reward you either. right? Because you're trying to act from love, but you're truly acting from fear. So you made a mistake. Mistakes happen. So in that case, like you go, oh, I think I think this is good. I think this is joy. I think this is stepping in the direction of my joy. But you didn't think it through clearly, or there's missing parts. Like you didn't think about the commute, and then you have no free time, or you didn't take into consideration the culture of the place that you were working. So you get there and they're real, just it's a negative environment or something, you know. So all of a sudden you're at this little place and you go, oh no, I was trying to make my decision based out of love, but now that I'm here, I can see, you know, I misread something, or I didn't look at it clearly, or I lied to myself. I really, but my intention was to come out of love. Well, oh, okay. Well, all you have to do is look for an open window, because the universe can't punish you or reward you. So you're stuck, right? You're stuck on this little rock, but it's just temporary. Most people, what they do at that particular time is they get very upset. And they go, oh my, I was trying to act out of love, and this is a load of crap, and it turned into something I don't like, and it's not fair, and why, you know, nothing works out for me because I'm trying to be love, and look at me, I'm in a crappy position, and oh no, woe is me. And they hop on a pity pot and they play this fiddle for God knows how long, and they suffer, right? Instead, what you need to do is, if you are intending to act from love, then there's a window, man. There's an exit. There's another opportunity that's waiting for you to see it. But you have to stop complaining first and start going, oh, okay, well, this didn't work out the way that I planned. I know the universe has my back because I'm trying to function from love. So what's my next move? And you start looking for it, and you will find one. You'll find the next move. You see, we cannot fall into the victim mentality, because what it does is it locks our brain off. Oh, I'm a victim. I don't have control over my own happiness, and the universe doesn't have my back, and nothing I do works out. When you're in that mindset, you can't see the open window right next to you because you're not looking for it. You're too busy feeling sorry for yourself. Okay? So this is what we need to do. This is the system in which we live and in which we work. And it works every time, all the time, always, in every situation, for everyone, period. That's why I said it was law. Like I've never, ever implemented this in my own life or other people's lives and have it not work. Never. That's why I say it's law. This is the dynamics that I understand. You know, this is what I woke up to 19 years ago, is understanding the dynamics of the universe. I understand how things work. I mean, it took me, I didn't just know it all. I kind of got it conceptually inside. And then I had to read books and take in a bunch of information to grasp it intellectually, and to learn how to implement it in life and learn how to teach people. And all that was a journey in itself. But the concepts, basically, I woke up to, 19 years ago. Like some things I understand dynamics and laws. Like I understand how things work, and really it's very logical. I mean, I don't, my mind, this is how my mind's always worked. It likes going deeper, getting close, simplify, you get closer to the truth. So like my mind likes doing that anyway. So my mind always worked like this, even when I was getting in trouble. Like I walked in and asked my principal to suspend me. Like who does that? I do, because I figured out the system. I look at systems and I figure them out. So when I was younger, I figured out how to play these systems. I was like, okay, like when I get in trouble, they send me home for 3 days. They suspend me. It's like, sweet. I didn't want to be there anyway, So then I'm at school and I don't want to be there. And I'm like, how do I get out of here? Well, what's the system say? The system says if you get in trouble, they send you home for 3 days. Oh, okay. There's my solution. So I went I didn't feel like being in school. So I went to the principal. I said, hey, suspend me for 3 days. He's like, that's not how it works. I'm like, yay. it kind of is how it works. When you really get down to it, underneath, to the core of it, that's kind of how it works. No, it's not. So, well, you can either suspend me or I'll go outside, that fire extinguisher in the hall right outside the office. I could grab that, spray it up and down the hallway, come back in here, and then you can suspend me. So how do you want to play it? Why? Because I figured out the dynamics. So I played the system. So I've always been like this. This is how I do with, now I understand. I use it for good instead of evil. So it's the dynamics. If you understand the dynamics, you can hang your hat on this stuff, man. It's law. It's universal law. It works every time, all the time. And it doesn't play favorites. It doesn't work for one person and not another person, because then it wouldn't be law. Like the sun doesn't be like, oh, whoops, my bad. Like, I forgot the law that said that I can only be so far away from the earth or else it burns up. Whoops, my bad. I screwed up. If it did that one day, there would be no more earth. Like, this is what I mean by laws. Like, that they're not optional. They work, and you can try them in specific scenarios and you'll see them work. So let me look at some comments here. You guys are so awesome to be leaving. Gene is watching. Oh, Carl's got a comedy show to host tonight. Helped me a lot. Yes, congrats, Carl. Carl has always been into comedy ever since I met him. So that's it. You got to be happy doing what you do. Let's see. Relationships. Expand on that for me. I guess some time to touch on some relationships today. Let's see. I got to jot this down because I have to write a description. So I should write what I talked about, because like when I'm tuned in, I can talk about stuff afterwards. Sometimes I don't completely remember all of it. Where do I start? Well, okay, so I'll help. You start at respect. Everything in relationships is based on respect. That's the foundational principle. And most often where we go off with relationships is spiritually awake. Yeah, well, so I'll use that as an example, but I'm still go in the direction of what I was talking about. So the comment was, how about when your partner is not spiritually awake? Which I believe I did a podcast like within the past few months about dealing with how to interact with loved ones, friends and family when you're waking up or something. So you might want to listen to that one. But I will touch on this now. So relationships. So we'll use the spiritually awake aspect to talk about respect. Everything is based in respect. So most people have problems in relationships because they get caught up on the surface. That I see it this way and I see it that way. So let's argue. And it's not about the thing. Like we're not supposed to agree on everything. And this is like the unconscious disease of the universe, or not the universe, of Earth right now. Everybody thinks we're supposed to come to agreements with one another. And I don't know when this started, but it's rampant and it's a disease and it's a lie, and it's alive and well here on Earth. Look at all the controversy right now in the world. Everybody's going like, oh, well, like I'm on this side, then they're on that side. Let's argue. And they fight and they try to prove each other's point, the other's point. It's a nightmare. We're not supposed to agree. There's 8 billion people on the planet and 8 billion opinions, and we're not supposed to agree on stuff. We're supposed to respect one another. So if something, so spiritually awake, it's like we don't need, maybe this is something I need to touch on because it came up the other day. We don't need anything to be different to be okay. We don't need anything to be different in our lives to experience peace. So if you're not experiencing peace, then there's something wrong with the way you're viewing it, because you can, and I'm not saying that we need to stay in relationships. I mean, there's times when divorce is a good idea. I truly believe that. It's just that most people give up too quickly. They get divorced out of frustration. So, we don't have to, we shouldn't be making decisions out of frustration. If we are frustrated, then we have work to do. Okay. So we should be, if we ever decide to get divorced, or make any other major life change, it should be out of self-love. We should, and you cannot lie to yourself or the universe about this, because you will pay. There will be a natural consequence to it. Because usually when I say this, if I'm talking to a person, I don't even finish the sentence and they're chiming in about how this is out of self-love. Like they're sitting, that they argue with their spouse or whatever, or or their partner, and they're very frustrated. Rah, 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 rah. And you go, well, if it's time to leave the relationship, you need to leave it out of self-love, not out of frustration. And they're like, yes, I love myself, so screw them. That's why I'm leaving, because I'm not putting up with their crap anymore. No, that's not that's not self-love. That's frustration. How can I tell? Just by the way you said it. Screw, rah, rah, rah. I love myself. That's not self-love. It's the energy in which you're in. If you're frustrated, it's not self-love. There's work that you can do. It's like we especially, it's funny because I have this conversation a lot specifically about spiritually awake. Why? Because I work with a bunch of people that are waking up, right? So of course it happens commonly. But even if it's talking about anything, it doesn't matter if it's spiritually awake or something else. Like what you have to do is respect one another. And you have to give respect if you expect to receive it. When we're waking up spiritually, it's so easy to get into the spiritual snobbery, because like we're acting out of love, so our way is the right way. It's like, no, that doesn't make it. That makes it the right way for us. There is no law on earth that says everybody has to function from love. I mean, would it be nice if we did that? Sure, it'd be nice, but but we can't have an attachment to an outcome. We can't be like, unless you act out of love, I'm acting out of love, and if you don't act out of love, then you're a bad person. I'm a good person. No, that's ego. That's separation. That's ego. So what we have to do if we truly want to live this spiritual life is we have to give people the freedom to live life the way they want. That's respect. So we have to give people that are not living spiritually the right to not live spiritually. They don't have to live spiritually. Why do they have to live spiritually? What who said that they like, I mean, if you believe in God, he gave us free will. God doesn't come in and say, you got to listen to me. I'm freaking awesome. Like I can help you. What are you, stupid? No, God doesn't do that. Why? Because we have to freely choose. We have to freely open our heart, and then we're down here on earth running around going, you didn't open your heart. You're an idiot. Like, wait a minute. God doesn't judge, but we can. Come on. So what we have to do is we have to give them the space to do what they do, and if that's to not live spiritually, that's fine. They cannot live spiritually. Gina's got her, I don't know if you guys can see this. I think Gina, you got your own show going. in the comments I'm seeing, I'm not I mean, I'm speaking, so I can't read and speak at the same time, but I'm seeing these these posts popping up. So yeah, like the we have to respect one another. So like if somebody, so let's, I said we have to respect them. Let's do it the other way. We can set boundaries and demand respect, right? So if somebody's coming in and they're like, I don't like that. I'm trying to come up with some scenario. I don't like that you're talking with a life coach, or I don't like that you go to meditations or whatever. Let's just say they're attacking, your way of doing things. It's like you have to give them the right to have their opinion. You're like, okay, I understand that you don't think what I'm doing it doesn't make sense to you. Okay, that's fine. You have the right to your opinion. You cannot like what I'm doing. And that's a lot of times that's hard in the beginning with the spiritual stuff, because, like if you see a good movie, you tell 10 of your friends, like how excited do you get when you get the key to life? Like when you find out you can like live your joy and your peace and you can actually be happy on this planet and all this stuff, it's so overwhelming and so exciting. We want everybody to live like that, and we want to tell everybody, and then somebody doesn't see it and we're like, oh my God, how can you not see it? It's so clear, and we start getting judgmental and snobby about our spirituality. No, give them the right to have their opinion. We don't have the right to tell them how to live. Like, why should we have the right to tell somebody that they need to live spiritually? Because we are. Well, like, who was your teacher 5 years ago before you started on the spiritual path? How would you like to be treated? That's what I always did. This was like probably, well, it's hard to say. This was kind of the first external lesson I ever learned, because I was awakening to all this new stuff. And probably like within the first 6 months of waking up, I was already sponsoring people in AA, because that's what my sponsor told me to do at that time. And I actually listened back then. So I was working with people, and I had opened up spiritually so much that everybody could see it. Like I would walk in a room and people would walk up to me and be like, what the heck happened to you? They could just see it like on my face. Like it was wild. So people were coming up and they were going, what happened to you? Like they could tell I was rearranged internally, So they're like, what'd you do? I want to do it. So I would tell them, oh, it's cool, man. You take responsibility for your life, and you just realize that you can design whatever life you want. You just open up and surrender, like totally to God. And it's just this beautiful thing. And, and I was explaining it probably horribly, but I was explaining it from my perspective. And these people were like, some weren't getting it. Some were kind of getting it. But then they would go try to do it. And it's, as you guys know, it's not always as easy as it sounds. Oh, just surrender. Like, well, how do you do that? Like, so these people weren't doing it. And I remember getting frustrated, seeing some of them go out and drink and becoming worse instead of better. And I'm like, what the hell's their problem, man? Like, geez, they come to me and ask me what to do. I tell them, and then they don't do it. And I could feel the back then, whenever I felt anything incongruent, like it was a red flag. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't like the way I'm feeling. So I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, they're just in the same place I was 6 months ago. Like, did I have people tell me what I should do? Yeah. Did I do it? No. Why? I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I tried, but it didn't really work. And I'm like, okay, so that's where they are. They're in the same place you were 6 months ago. So stop judging them and just send them a little compassion and understanding of going like, all right, I was where you are. And that's what I've done ever since. And it helps, so have some understanding and some compassion. Like when we say something so obvious in spirituality, like, oh my God, like, you should just focus on gratitude. I mean, it makes you feel better and you attract more to be grateful for. And the other person's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. That's like, it sounds stupid. And you're like, then we start judging them. Like, what's wrong with you? I mean, how simple is that? What are they, idiots? And we start judging and all this stuff. It's like, well, wait a minute. Like, you never heard gratitude was good up until you started awakening. Like, of course you did. People, you hear about gratitude here and there. You've had people talk about positive thinking or something spiritual along the way that you didn't implement. Well, what was your problem? You just weren't ready. You didn't have a problem. You just weren't ready. And this person isn't ready. So understand that. And so make whatever your relationship agreement, issues are, make it about respecting one another, not about whatever you guys are complaining about. Give them the freedom to live their life and the freedom to live your life. And so if they attack you for something, be like, I understand that you don't agree with what I'm doing, and that's okay. You have the right to think I'm wrong. I'm cool with that. Everybody's got their own opinion, and you think my way is wrong. That's cool. I can understand that. But this is my life, and I have to do it my way. And you have to respect that if you're going to be in relationship with me. So make it about respect, not about the symptom. Not about the surfacey stuff. Whatever you're arguing about is all surfacey stuff. It's always about something deeper, and that's respect. Now, I mean, if somebody, there are people that are literally incapable of respecting other people. And if you happen to be in relationship with one of them, don't lie to yourself again. You have to be. People want to get out of relationships so bad, because I get it. They're difficult, but they want to get out so bad that, like, they will lie to themselves and others just to give themselves the right to leave. You cannot do that. You cannot fake the energy. Slow down. If your heart is racing in any way, if there's any irritation, that is not self-love. Self-love is so relaxed, you can't fake it. It's just like self-love is you start wanting to leave the relationship out of love for the other person. That's what self-love does. When you're really anchored into your self-love, you can't be hurt. So whatever they did to you, it's inconsequential. You're just like, you're not worried about it. You don't need an apology. You don't care. When your side of the street is clean, you don't care. Like, I walked around with a resentment for, I think it was like a year and a half or something, if I remember right, which I don't usually do. And I walked around with one for like a year and a half. And then I did a podcast with Ben about, I'm glad you like it, Jen. I just saw her comment. I did a podcast with Ben about resentments. And Ben asked me, do you have any resentments? And I went, no, I've worked through all mine. And then all of a sudden I went, oh, wait, no, I do have one. And it was, I don't know, maybe a half an hour drive to his office at the time. And on my drive home, like, one of the things I try to do, if I know I'm doing something wrong, I have to do it right. If I don't know I'm doing something wrong, then that's fine. I give myself a pass. I didn't know. How was I going to change it? But once I identify it, I need to take action to fix it. So I was driving home and I was like, I've been carrying this for a year and a half. I didn't even know it. I am taking action on this before I get home. So I hopped on my phone and I called the person, and I didn't expect them to answer, to be honest with you, because we had a pretty good size argument last time I saw them, and I didn't think they would pick up the phone. They answered, And I was like, uh-oh. I was just going to leave a message, like apologizing for my part, because that's when you have a resentment, they teach you this in recovery. You clean your side of the street. Don't worry about their side of the street. So I was calling to apologize for my part in what happened. So he answers, and I'm like, oh, wow. I even said to him, I go, wow, I didn't think you were going to answer. But then I apologized for my side, right? Right after I apologized for my side, he started apologizing for his side. And it was the weirdest thing, because as soon as he started apologizing, this energy went through me like, oh my God, I can't even believe he's apologizing. What? He doesn't have to apologize. He doesn't owe me an apology. Now, this was something I was carrying a resentment for a year and a half, thinking he owed me an apology. As soon as I apologized, like literally as soon as I finished apologizing, the energy shifted inside of me, and like 3 seconds later, he started apologizing, and the energy inside of me went, he doesn't have to apologize. I don't even know why he's doing it. I mean, and I went, oh my God, I wanted this for a year and a half. Now it's happening, and I don't even care if he gives it to me. Why? Because my side of the street was clean. Nobody, then I was in control of my happiness. I was at peace because my side of the street was clean. That's all I need to do for peace. I don't need them to apologize. I don't need them to take responsibility for their side. Why? Because that's outside of me. That would be a crappy system. And the universe doesn't create crappy systems. The universe is intelligent. God is intelligent. So it doesn't create a crappy system that's dependent on others. If we needed something from other people for us to be at peace, it would be a crappy system. Why? Because we can't control other people. So there would be many people on this planet, probably everyone, because everybody's been wronged by somebody in this life, multiple times. So if my side of the street is clean, I don't need an apology from somebody else. And understanding that is very freeing. It's helpful to understand it. I mean, I kind of did, so I just kind of dropped into that energy shift automatically because I had already kind of experienced this type of stuff, so it was instant. With us, you can kind of drag your feet a little bit if you're not clear on it. So I'm hoping that's what this podcast will do, help get you clear on it. Like, you don't need an apology from them for your side of the street to be clean, for you to be at peace. It's completely unnecessary once you're good. The other thing the other example of this was I think I was in the middle of the custody battle, and I was really stressed out when my son was like 12. And I was moving, trying to start a business. My car was messed up that I just bought. It was just a lot going on, and my ex had gotten to me. Something that had transpired in the custody thing had gotten to me, and I was irritated. And I was talking to this friend that is very spiritual, my friend Nancy, and like sometimes we'll bounce things off of each other. Because she has a deep level of understanding too, and she can help me, and I can help her sometimes. It's cool. So I was talking to her, and she she went right into solution. Like, well, Glenn, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. And I wasn't ready to hear solution. I was feeling like a victim, and I was angry, and I went off on her, and I was like, maybe you should tell me, instead of telling me what I should do, maybe you should be like, wow, Glenn, holy crap. You've been in family court 10 years and you always take the high road. Holy cow. I can't believe how you still live spiritually. All the crap that you've been through, and to take the high road and really, I can't believe how wonderful you've done, Glenn. Holy crap, Glenn. You're amazing, Glenn. I can't believe it. Why don't you give me a little bit of that, and then you can start telling me what to do. And I hear silence, right? And all of a sudden she goes, oh, wow, that was beautiful. I'm like, beautiful? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you really needed to hear that. You really needed to give that to yourself. And you just did. Because you thought you needed to hear it from somebody else, but nobody can give you what you just gave yourself. You needed that pat on the back. You needed to look at yourself in the mirror and go, wow, Glenn, you're awesome. Good job. This isn't easy and you're really doing wonderful. You needed that, and you needed it from yourself because nobody else can give you that. It's like, so that was really beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, mind blown. That was awesome. And it sticks in me because it's really like that. We don't need the other side to be clean. So whenever I talk about this, it's relationships. The fact is most relationships, as bad as we think they are not physically abusive, and they are not truly deeply emotionally abusive. Most of them are not. If you are in one of those relationships that's physically abusive or extremely emotionally abusive and mentally abusive, and not always hurt my feelings, just abusive, really. If you're in one of those situations, then you probably have to get out. You know what I mean? Let's be realistic here. If you're in something like that, then you probably have to start working on an exit strategy. Especially if it's physically abusive, you're not safe. You need to get the hell out of that, and of course you can reach out to me and I'll do what I can to help. And there's people and agencies that are very good at this. You can reach out to them too. But if you feel safer with me, reach out to me and I'll, try to find something in your area or put together. I'll try to help you form some sort of plan. But like I said, that's fairly rare. Most of it is the garden variety. He's an asshole, she's a bitch type mentality, like those you can work through. So I'm going to end with this. Relationships, just like everything, life gives us what we need to learn what we need to learn. So whenever I'm in a relationship, what I try to do is learn whatever I can learn while I'm there. And I do it. I've done it with jobs that I couldn't find my way out of a job right away. So I was like, okay, let me learn whatever I need to learn here. And one of it, this is just funny, so I'm going to say it. One of the things I felt I needed to learn was I needed to work on my problem with authority. I have some of you may know I have a major problem with authority. So I decided to work on that on one of my jobs, and I did. I worked on it for like a year, maybe more, and I'm happy to report that I still have a problem with authority. It's just me, man. I'm not I always will. And I don't consider it a problem now. Like before, I thought it was an issue that I should work on, right? So I worked on it and I got to a place where it didn't trigger me so much, which was helpful. So the work that I did on it was actually helpful. I just found out after I did that work and I was more in control of myself and I didn't get triggered so much that I still don't like authority. So screw it. I'm never going to like authority. Screw them all. But that's just how I am. And I have no problem with that. It's, I do it in a healthier way now. So that's cool. So what I was saying is the relationships, think of it as life gave you a scenario to learn from. Most people they're in an unhealthy relationship. They don't complete the work that they should within that. So then they leave the relationship. Well, what do you have to do to complete your work? You got to go find another partner that looks just like them, or at least or looks completely different probably, but acts just like them. But they don't at first. It's hidden, So then you get into a relationship with them and then you find out a year or two later that they're the same person. You're like, how the heck did I end up here again? Anybody have that experience? Anyone? Of course, everyone. So what I decided was I'm going to understand that life gives me circumstances to grow through. So I'm going to grow where I'm at. This is why it's not only important to make decisions and leave relationships or scenarios out of self-love. It's also important to get to that self-love. How do you get there? By learning what you're supposed to learn. If that person does something that triggers you, then that's a thorn trying to come out, as Michael Singer would say. That is a trigger trying to come out. Usually what we do is we spend all the time trying to find people that don't trigger us. Like, no, that's not the journey we're on. What we need to do is, when people trigger us, recognize that is a trigger surfacing so it can be healed. Then we can heal that trigger. Then next time somebody does it to us, it doesn't trigger us. Doesn't mean we have to put up with it. Doesn't mean we let them continue doing it to us. It means it doesn't have an emotional charge that triggers us. We can still not like it. We can still be like with me, with authority. I don't have an emotional trigger. If somebody tries pulling authority over me, I don't get all upset and go like, screw you. You have no authority over me. Screw you. No, I work through that. So what I do is, somebody comes in with authority, they try to, put some authority on me. I just go, no. And they're like, well, yes. I go, no. it ain't happening here, buddy. It's just not happening. I don't know what to tell you. You're going to have to go find somebody else. It ain't going to happen. And it just doesn't. So that's the difference. When I'm healed, I don't get emotionally triggered. It doesn't mean that I allow that behavior. Absolutely not. I just don't get emotionally triggered. That's what it gets healed. So do your work. Realize that you're in school. If you're in a crappy relationship, as long as it's not dangerous or massively abusive, you're in school. So learn what you're supposed to learn. And it's quicker that way, because if you learn what you want to learn, then like when you go to get into your next relationship, you're much healthier. And take some time in between relationship. You don't have to. I found it very helpful. When I get out of a relationship, I go on a hunt inside myself. What were the lessons? Did I learn them well? Can I firm them up in another way? Do I have clarity on them? I talk them out with people. After I'm done a relationship, it's like, because that's one of the best places to learn. So I want to make sure I learn it all, because I love a healthy relationship. I love being in healthy relationships. I've been in some, and it's freaking awesome. And I won't be in anything other than that. So it's like, I really want to learn as much as I can, because, I'm single now. And when people ask me about, future of relationships, I'm like, oh my God, I'm pumped. With all the work I've done on myself, the quality of women that I spend time with on a regular basis is off the freaking charts. Like my female friends are off the charts. My male friends are off the charts too. I surround myself with amazing people. The woman that I end up being in a long-term partnership with, I can only fathom how amazing she's going to be. I'm pumped. So do your work. Yes, Jen, you got it. I'm just noticing your comments. And Gina said, she was agreeing with me. Good. I'm glad. Gina and I usually agree on a lot of things. So when we're talking things out like this type of stuff. So cool. All right, people. Well, that's going to be a wrap. That was fun. I liked how that went. I had I just kept looking for, I guess I was supposed to talk about this, and I needed you guys. So thank you. Because I was like, this. I looked at a few things. I'm like, I have no idea. Nothing's jumping out at me. So I'll just go out there. And this is what happened. And I really loved it. It was fun. So I think there was some good info for you guys here. So, all right. Thank you for your input, your sharing, your help, your energy. And I will talk with you guys soon. Where is my... All right. That'll do it. Peace out, girl.
Looking for more? Check out over 200 episodes of Life Lessons in Laughter, or click the link in the description of this episode to connect with Glenn directly.